Well, good morning, everybody. We are ready to get started. We have a fantastic Zoom property tour for you today. My name is Scott Buckholz. I am the host of these Saturday morning property tours. We do these every Saturday morning where we feature an investor from a part of our community. We are part of a national community of investors, and we have got people on today from all over the country, from New York to Florida to Texas to Washington, to Arizona, and everywhere between. So welcome on, guys. Again, my name is Scott Buckholz. I've been a part of this community for almost 6 years. The time has just flown by. It'll be 6 years, October 31st. Yes, October 31st, Halloween. It's hard to forget that date, guys. And today's property tour, we're going to be bringing out Alex and Austin. They are in the Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas area. Excuse me. I am actually here in Northern Kentucky, which is part of the Cincinnati market. I'm a full-time real estate investor. I do real estate in Kentucky, Ohio, and Kansas, and love being a part of this community. Like I said, got involved 5.5 years ago. I kind of got a screen I want to pop over and share as we get started here, because this was something that I had to really face about 6 years ago. And LaShawn, can you do me a sound check and tell me you can still see my screen?
I can see your screen, Scott.
So about 6 years ago, actually, it was June of 2015, I was working in corporate America. At that point in time, I had been in corporate America for over 35 years, and I had only worked for two companies my whole adult life, which today is like unheard of, somebody just working for a couple companies over a 35, 40-year span. Back when I was grown or was raised, it was really something cool to find a career and a company to go to work for, and that would be your life or part of your life, and that's what you would do. And so about 6 years ago, in June of 2015, I received a phone call from the HR department while I was out in the field. I'll never forget, I was in Columbus, Ohio at the time, and that phone call went like this. Hey, we love you as an employee. You're a great asset, but we are downsizing your department. So your position is getting eliminated, and we've got other positions for you that we would love for you to move over to. Call us tomorrow, and we're going to fill you in on all the good news. Well, you hang up the phone, and of course, that's like a punch in the stomach initially. But then you're thinking, oh, great. I'm still with the company. I've been here for 15 years. Can't wait to find out what my opportunities are. Well, the call the next day didn't go quite as well. So, yes, they had two great positions for me, but because I was making a high six-digit income, I had to take about a 45% salary reduction to stay with the company. And so they were gracious enough to give me a week, and we were blessed to have that week. So my wife and I did a lot of praying, but this screen I'm sharing with you right now is what hit home on that during that week. At that time, when things like that happen, you decide if you got to really dig deep. You got to start looking at your life. You got to be looking at your goals ahead of you. You got to be looking at your finances. And this is something I'll never forget. We looked at everything and we said, hey, what are we doing? Even if I find a career position that maybe I can finish my life with, or not my life, my working life with, we're still not going to be where we want to be. And so we had to do a real hard check. And I'd always had a passion to do real estate investing. And I saw my parents do it in the 70s and 80s. They accumulated a lot of rental properties. And so that's kind of how I got involved with this community. And I'm so excited. I'm so blessed to be a part of this community. And I've been involved for almost 6 years now. I've been in real estate for over 3.5 years. And I'm just excited that I found this community. I found this group of mentors and instructors. And today we've got Alex and Austin, and they are the product of the product. So I am not going to take any more time. Alex, would you like to come out? Austin, would you like to come on and let's share your story and what you got going on?
Okay, awesome. I'm going to go first. We got a lot of stuff to cover today and a short amount of time, so we're going to get right into it. Your story resonates with me, Scott, largely because I watched my dad go through that life myself as I was growing up as a kid. And I remember him getting laid off in 2009 when I was in college and thinking to myself, well, this doesn't work. I need to figure out a different path. And I hit some bumps along the way, but ultimately, I found this community, and it's been skyrocketing ever since. Austin, do you have a story you wanted to tell before you got into our group and what we're doing now? Or yeah, maybe. Anyways, when you're ready, Austin, just come on.
Austin, you're on mute.
Yeah,
Austin, you're on mute. Come on off.
All right, guys, I'm here. I suppose you want to see my face too, right?
Maybe.
Well, that's a good looking face. I mean, a lot of people love owls, so
I kind of want to leave the logo up because it's such a great logo.
That's right. Well, Austin, a lot of
Austin.
people on today, Austin, probably do not know.
Yeah.
Jeff telling you, you know better than you know better.
Okay, let's get everybody
I got
on
it.
mute except for
I got
Austin.
Go ahead, Austin.
So, Austin, a lot of people on today do not know you or maybe have never seen you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your story, and then you guys can dive into your short-term rental business. Go ahead, Austin.
Sure. Yeah. So I actually, I'll kind of do the same thing you were saying. I joined Renatus 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago, September, beginning of September. So just over 3 years. A lot has happened in that time. I live in Overland Park, Kansas, which is part of Kansas City as well. I've been investing and doing stuff with Alex for those entire 3 years and other people in the community here. Got some rental properties, had done a couple flips, so kind of done a few real estate things already. But the main thing that I've spent my most time on in the past year has been OwlStays for sure. So that I became a part of owlstays.com 2 years ago, year and a half ago.
That's the name of our short-term rental business. Just FYI.
Sorry, I didn't know if we addressed that already, but OwlStays.
No, we did not.
OwlStays is our short-term rental company. We own and operate 23 leases. We do the lease arbitrage model. So it's busy. We have a pretty big team already. So that's what I've been doing mostly, and Alex too has been doing mostly the past year and a half, 2 years, is we're all in on short-term rentals. So
Okay. So yes, we're up to 23 online, and we have another 9 on the way. And we are primarily following the lease arbitrage model. So we're here to kind of talk about the latest in the one that we got online. But I'm going to start sharing my screen.
So Alex, make sure you talk about. There's gonna be a lot of people on today that do not know what a lease arbitrage model is.
Yes,
So
and it's kind of a crime,
good.
that we don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to do the best that I can. So so what a lease arbitrage is the practice of signing a lease for a property and then making profit off of the short-term schedule. So in essence, you're taking a real estate asset and you're converting it to hospitality, and that's how the profit is created. Now, if there ever was a circumstance where in real estate, the rent that you could bring in on a long-term schedule, the real estate rents were to be equivalent to the revenue that would be produced by converting to hospitality, then you wouldn't do lease arbitrage. In essence, if you can make the same amount of money just by renting it to a long-term tenant versus converting to hospitality, there's no point in doing this. That hasn't happened yet. And our arbitrage has been very good, very kind to us, because the major benefit is that you don't have to buy the property. So your out-of-pocket costs are just furnishing, and it can create a situation where you have very high cash-on-cash returns. In fact, we just recently did a property tour in Kansas City, and Austin was in charge of that over 2 of our other units. And we are on track to do a 220% ROI this year on those units. So there's plenty of wealth to be made here. So this is just a picture of our calendar. So don't be fooled. It says we have 28. We really have 23. Some of them are inactive. But this is just the last kind of like 30 days. We track all of our income through QuickBooks. So it's year to date. At the end of September, we pulled in $460,000. We've profited 123, and we've doubled our portfolio doing it. So this year has by far been the best year we've ever had. Hopefully next year is as good as this. And anyways, so I'm going to move over to the property we just set up. So let's go to our listings here. And this property was Austin's house. So Austin decided that he wanted to move into a bigger house. And we were kind of like brainstorming on what we wanted to do. Or he called me. He's like, what should I do with this place? Because he was thinking about selling it. And I was begging him, please do not sell it. Please do not sell it. Like we could do something better. So yeah, it's brand new. There's a guest in it right now. Actually, let me look at the calendar for just this unit. So yeah, as that's loading up. All right, it's almost done. Man, everything goes a little bit slower when you join on Zoom. All right, we'll let that load. But Austin, I'm gonna kind of transition to you, because this is your house. You and your wife did this, and you kept to an amazing budget. So I'm gonna let you take over.
There we go. Oh
There it
man,
is. Yeah.
I was being force muted the whole time. I couldn't talk.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. So I do want to say one thing. Alex did not have to convince me. It was a discussion. It was a mutual.
It was a discussion. Like, I'm not
I
gonna
ran
take
the
full
numbers.
credit, but I remember it.
That's all part of the story, right? So I bought a new house. I moved into this house I'm in right now 3 weeks ago. This house that you're seeing photos of was my other house, and with the market we're in, I was thinking, oh great, sell it and make a good profit because of the crazy appreciation we've all been seeing in all of our own local markets, I'm sure, right? But it's in a great location, and it's in 10 years from now, I think I'd be a lot happier keeping it than selling it, because it's not going to go down anytime soon. But the only way I could not, because of the area it's in, the house is too expensive to make a normal rental situation work, right? If you ran the numbers on it, it just wasn't a good use of that equity. So I was discussing it with Alex, and I was like, well, short-term rentals work pretty well. We know a company that does pretty well with short-term rentals. We have not done a house before, or we have, but not this way. We've done rooms before. We haven't done a full house. So I was like, well, I'm all in on Alice Days. I guess I can go further in and we'll do my own house. And my wife kind of has a knack for this kind of stuff anyway. So we went in on it. We set a budget for, it's a 3-bed, 2-bath house. I set a budget for like $10,000 to fill it all out, right? It was already refurbished. We lived there for 5 years, and we had fixed it all up and updated all the rooms. We were able to furnish this place for right around $7,500 through a lot of Facebook Marketplace shopping, and just finding deals, that kind of stuff. So it's very, but everything's basically new, right?
You killed
it turned out really well. We're pretty happy with it. That took us I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks of buying and putting stuff together, and then another week of, I mean, we worked really hard. It was a lot of time to get everything up and going. But once it was up, once we were close to being done, on a, we listed it on a Monday, and within an hour, we had that booking that Alex is holding there. So we had a 14 night, 2 week booking come in within an hour for $2,600. So that's like, I think it comes out to $185 a night. So all the discussions that Alex had, I had, 3 months earlier, 2 months earlier about what should I do with my house, sell it, rent it, what do we do? We're all confirmed right there, because I made, just on that booking, I'll profit this month, right? So it all paid off. Basically, you can do this in any market, as long as you have to look at the numbers for every individual deal, but in an expensive market, this is the only way I know of that you can keep and hold a house and it's still actually cash flow positively. So it's working for us so far. We'll see. I mean, we're just getting started with it, but yeah.
So Austin, let me jump in here, brother. This is Scott Buckholz again. Hey, you mentioned earlier, so when you were looking at holding onto the property because you knew the area that you guys lived in, you and your wife, and you knew that the properties weren't going to go down over the next 5 years. If anything, they're going to go up, right? So you knew the markets, but you shared with everybody on today that it would not be a good long-term rental property because of the value of the asset itself. I understand what you're saying, but we always got to remember we got a lot of new folks on today, and I know Alex has a lot to share, but I really want, because a lot of people, when they're looking at a property and they go, okay, it's not I can't do a flip on it, let's do a rental property on it, and they try to decide why could be a good long-term rental or why they should use it as a short-term rental. Why? Explain just in a minute or so why this would not be a good long-term rental.
Yep, that's easy. So the reason it did not make sense to be a long-term, regular, month-to-month rental, or I guess year-to-year rental, is because you have, so say a house is worth, this is hypothetical, I won't talk about the numbers of my house, but say the house is worth $500,000. In order to make that mortgage make sense, right? Because the way that at least I and most people are going to buy real estate or with mortgages, so you can buy more than just one. I'm not going to buy a $500,000 house with cash, right? In order to make that cash, so your payment on that is however many $1,000. You can't get a rent high enough on a $500,000 house in a neighborhood like this to cover that mortgage. So you're going to have negative cash flow. Whereas like a $200,000 house, you can. So you have $100,000 houses and they get, maybe $800 rent. And then you have $200,000 houses that might get, close to $2,000 rent. $300,000 houses, maybe $3,000 rent. So once you get more above that, nobody's paying more than $3,000 for rent. No matter where, in our area, in Kansas City, nobody's going around paying $5,000 for rent just because you have a $500,000 house. It doesn't matter. There's a ceiling on rent that people will pay, and you get to a point where it doesn't make sense because there's $1 million houses out there. You're never going to get that to cash flow, but with this model, you can, because you could have a 12-bedroom house that you could rent out for over $1,000 a night, or getting close to $20,000, $30,000 a month. Especially when you look at when there's actual destinations for things like ski resorts or those kind of things, you can actually cash flow $1 million house, but you're not going to be able to do that with a regular rental because people won't
absolutely
pay to just live there.
Well, thank you, Austin. Thank you very much. I know that Alex wanted to jump in there. Go ahead, Alex.
No, I was like, as the prices go up, there's just a smaller pool of people that be willing to pay for that product. And with the smaller pool of people, it's just harder to market to those people. So that's why a lot of people will stick in the standard curve, the standard deviation curve of where most people are, so that they can ensure that they're occupied.
Yeah, there are people out. I mean, there's people like most of us here probably know of Woody Woodward. He probably goes out and pays for $10,000 a month rents in some of the crazy places he stays. but there's not a lot of Woodies out there.
There's not. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Just real quick though, I was with Woody in January this year at one of his masterminds in Orlando, and I stayed in a house that he was paying $35,000 a week for as a short-term rental. $35,000 a week.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
you got to know your market, you got to know your area, and so I would imagine a place like that, Alex, you guys are in this business pretty solid. I mean, even if it's $1.5 million house, I mean, they don't have to rent it that often to take care of their debt service, do they? And make money.
I'm doing the math right now. I mean, that's you could
Yeah.
you could have a really, I mean, you could have a $5 million house and make that work.
Yeah,
Which it probably was a $5 million house. Like that's
There's
crazy.
definitely a luxury market on a shorter schedule. That's for sure.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So you guys are at 23 units now. If I said that wrong, correct me. You
Yes.
got 9 more on the way. I thought you said you were going to be very soon at 32 models. I told somebody
31.
the other day.
31.
I told someone the other day, I fibbed. I said I think they're almost to 35. So it's 31, which is just amazing, Alex. I remember when you guys started out. I remember coming to Kansas City when you first started getting that community put together up there. And I'm just so proud of what you guys have done. And I mean, it's hard work, you know, real estate investing and short-term rental business is not rocket science. It's getting a system down, and you're going to talk about that, but it's hard work. Just like anything else you want to be good at, you got to really get into it, and you really got to leverage, and you guys you've leveraged education that we're all a part of. You've leveraged your relationships with a lot of people in the community. But, you know, how did you, just for fun, I know this is going to seem like 100 years ago. How did you you got a lot of people on today, guys, that have been thinking about short-term rentals. They're like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And can you guys remember 2.5 years ago when you first started your first 1 or 2 short-term rentals? Do you remember
Sure.
what that looked like? Do you remember how nervous you guys were and what it looked like?
So we got
I-
32 minutes left. So if you guys have questions, we're gonna move into question and answer because we don't have a lot of time, and I want to make sure that we focus on content that you care about. So and we've started from the beginning to just about as advanced as you possibly can go at this point. Our company should grow $600,000 this year. We're killing it. So if you have questions, start typing in the chat, and we're going to start knocking them out. So Scott asked, how did we get started is what I heard from that. Austin, if you want to answer that, I heard you start chiming in. That's fine.
I was going to chime in something really quick, and I just wanted to reiterate something Scott said, and that is that any of these systems in real estate, you've all heard it before, but it's simple, but it's not easy. That's what I'd say. This is all simple. It's all putting the system in place and doing it. But we work a lot. I mean, we work hard on this stuff. And just to say that, because I mean, you have to understand going into any of these things, you're gonna have to work hard to get the systems in place. Now, 2 years later, Alex and I just put together a workflow for our business this morning for our virtual assistants and our managers. And there's probably 100 tasks in this workflow. And Alex and I have maybe 1 task each, right? Because we built the system, we did the hard work. Now we're passing it off to our teams. Yeah,
I can
here it
share
is.
that actually. I
That's
have
our,
it right in front of me.
this is our system.
We were
for
working on
building
this
a new
literally right before this call. Like
Yeah.
I hopped on, I don't think Scott was very happy with us because we hopped on a little late.
No, you're fine. But if you guys are on a phone, make sure you pinch your phone out so you can blow this out.
Yeah.
And
So
look at what they're
This
going.
is proprietary.
Yeah, no screenshots,
Not anymore.
no sharing on social media. No share
No.
on social media.
So it's just we use a software called Asana, which can help us build workflows, and we have very good backend operations right now. Backend is like, well, as soon as the client is onboarded, as soon as we have the unit, every process is automated. We have really good backend operations. we could use a lot of work on our front end operations, which is the client saying, yes, I want to do it, and getting them all the way to the point where their unit is online. So for that part, we're still running around a lot. And today we were like, enough is enough. Let's automate this crap.
Yep.
So,
So I don't want to take, I didn't mean to totally sidebar us there, but let's get back to the original question of how you got started with this, Alex.
So yeah, so the community pushes out these classes, and back in 2019, they came out with the short-term rental classes on May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And I remember watching them live from my home in Kansas City. And I'd always knew that short-term rentals was something I wanted to do. Like I did 2 fix and flips by that point. I had some long-term rentals, and I really didn't enjoy doing fix and flips. I hated it. I just, this is not for me. So it works. Like, you could make a ton of money there. You could make a ton of money wholesaling, but I knew right off the bat that I was not going to have any love towards it. I was in for the cash flow. And I liked my rentals, but they weren't making a lot of cash flow. I was like, if only I could squeeze the lemons a little bit more somehow. What do you know? Our community came out with the classes. I didn't have to pay any more for that. I watched them 1, 2, 3, and 2 days later, we signed our first lease for 2 units. So literally 2 days after we watched the classes, we had the confidence to go out and make stuff happen. So that was March 5th. We signed our first 2 units, and today is October 9th. We are guaranteed to have 31 at this point. So we have 23 online currently. So yeah, we've been having a lot of fun with this. And some headaches along the way. I will say we have stories. So yeah, that's how we got started. I'm going to look in the chat to see if there's any questions in here, or if someone would be so kind to start just reading them off.
No, yeah, there's a ton of good questions in here, Alex. If you'll scan up toward the top and work your way down and maybe punch a few of these out, that'd be great.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to go to the top here. Oh boy. All right, so let's see here.
Look at the one from David.
All right, I'm
It's
looking
a
for
great
David.
question. David
Best approach
Valdivino.
to landlords about Airbnb arbitrage. Okay, so if you're just starting and you have no credibility whatsoever, your best start, in my opinion, is to build friendships. So like, I would just start with a list of the 100 people that you know, and I would just start calling them up, because you have a better chance of landing a lease with one of those people than going out with someone who doesn't even know you, or a property management company, or a property owner. Eventually you want to get to that point, but when you're just starting out, you just need to get your first one and do it in the shortest amount of time. So start with the people you know, put a star next to their top 25 that you know best. And that's just a straight marketing tip in general. Like, any product or service whatsoever, you're gonna do that. You're gonna start with people who know, like, and trust you, because there's a thing called KLT, know, like, trust. Before anyone can do business with you, they have to first know who you are. If they don't know who you are, the chances are zero of doing any business. They have to like you. If they don't like you, they're not doing anything. And then they also have to trust you, because they're trusting you with their property, or they're trusting you with their money, or something like that, right? So KLT. So start with people who already know and like you, and then build the trust. If you already have the trust built, you might as well start with them too. So I don't really recommend cold marketing off the start. So I hope that helps. Because that is definitely the easiest path to success. You're not going to have to rely too much more on a script, or making sure you say the right things, because if the person already likes you and trusts you, then you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Going down the list here. Let's see here. All right. I want to get a sense on how that area looks in a map. Can you show us that? Yes, I can. Let's see here. Can someone read off the next one to me while I pull up a map?
Yes, I will. Go ahead. I'll pull
And
it
the
up.
problem for me is, whenever it writes a new comment, it goes down to the bottom, so it takes time for me to go up to the top. So if someone could just start reading them off, that would be very helpful.
I got it. Doug, great comment, Doug. He's just starting off. That's why he's here. Congratulations for being here. 2200. Daniel DeGal. Hey, Daniel, good to see you. It says you want to meet a 1% a month at least in a year-to-year lease.
I think that was
STR
based off of Austin's comment about long-term renting.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Know your market. Yep. You got to know your market, guys. That's whether you're doing a flip, whether you're doing a long-term rental, short-term rental, whatever it might be, you've got to know your market. If you don't know your market, okay.
Okay.
Like what did Alex say?
I got the next one. I got
you got it.
Ragu Kemp, Scott. So right under Ragu is Doug. So I'm going to start with Ragu. Can you expand on what parts of the process you automated? Okay. Yes, I can. The first thing we automated was back-end operations. So back-end operations are all the chat messages, all the automated messages that we're sending for door codes, how to get to the property, pictures, things like that. And I'm going to show you a screenshot as we go through that. All the phone calls are completely automated. All the damage resolutions are completely automated. Am I missing anything, Austin? Oh, our re-engagement campaign is completely automated. So what I mean by as soon as the customer books to, them checking out, and then after that, that's automated. So here's our map. I don't want to forget this. So wherever you see a $sign is where we are located. So we're largely in the Westport area, and I do have 7 units now in Overland Park, which I don't know exactly why they're not popping up, but they're definitely there. So maybe because we have a separate account, and that's the reason why we have. Yeah, that's probably why we have separate accounts, because we don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. And if you're on one platform, you run the risk of getting, potentially banned or that platform going out of business. So you don't want all your eggs in one basket. Okay. All right. Moving on to Ragul's question. Can you expand on what parts of the process are automated? So I'm going to go through some of our property management software here. So we have these things, we use Hostfully, but there's plenty of different programs out there. So we have all these templated messages that, that go out on a schedule. So the best way I can describe it or show it is just by going into a message thread for a guest that has, gone start through finish. And I want to ask you guys, please, I'm going to be sharing my screen here. You're going to be seeing sensitive information from guests. Do not share this on social media. Like these guests are real people. So please, yeah. All right, I'm going to find someone from the past here who was already checked out. All right. This one's arriving in 7 days. All right, we have a past guest here. Star Wars. Okay, great. Perfect. So, and they gave us a great review. Yay. All right. So Neil books our properties. He tells us, hey, it's just for a short getaway while some work is getting done. If you're on a phone, you're going to have to screen, or you're going to have to zoom in. I zoomed in a little bit here. So this is an automated message here. So hello, Neil. Congratulations, your reservation is being secured. We are looking forward to hosting you soon. Please take 2 minutes to fill out the pre-arrival form. All right. So I'm going to go to the pre-arrival form here. This is what the pre-arrival form looks like. So he puts in his name, he puts in his email address. We require ID to be uploaded now. The reason why we require that is because we've actually caught some forms of identity theft. People who are stealing other people's Airbnb profiles to book units. And we've actually caught a case for that. So we do that for that reason. And 2, we want to know who exactly is coming into our units, because Airbnb will say that they do, but they don't. And it's still your property. It's still your responsibility. It's still your relationship on the line with who you're hosting with, your property partner, and your neighbors too. So we started to require that. There's loopholes to get around it. So other information in this pre-arrival form is their anticipated time of arrival, anticipated departure time. So the standard checkout time is 11. So if they change it to a different time, then that lets us know that we need to bill them for extended checkout or something like that. So
this form you're sharing with it, Alex, this form you're sharing with us, did you guys create and develop this, or did you actually borrow this?
So this is a standard feature in Hostfully, so we're borrowing it. So we didn't have to create
That's what
it.
I
This is
thought.
very easy to just incorporate in your business. And before you go out and build something, short-term rentals has been out long enough now where a lot of the stuff and tools that you need have already been created. So you could just pay a subscription to buy it. So you don't have to pay thousands of dollars.
Exactly. Because
So-
you might have people like me who are looking at this going, oh my gosh, I'll never, you know how,
Yeah.
Alex, you know how IT challenged I am. I could be looking at this going, holy cows, how do I do all this?
Yes.
But you're just
It's-
borrowing. It's
Correct.
there
You
for
do, you do not, in fact, it's better to borrow than to create. Creating the founder of our community spent $6 million on a software product that he did not use. Like, it can get expensive fast. We'll let someone else pay that. So anyways, so
That's amazing.
yes, so
That's amazing.
we do not want to get into the software industry. Just time
Yeah.
out. Yeah, take a step back. So also in this are our house rules. So you would not believe how many people do not read the house rules. It's kind of depressing. So we put it right in front of their face, and we make sure that they agree to the house rules before they continue. So they have to do that. So so they have the pre-arrival form. They click on that. They get sent their pre-arrival form again. So they have our phone number, our support, and here's the next message. It's kind of, you know, in this reading over it again, it's kind of see the difference in the message, but you know, if you're going to get pinged on your phone. So there's also instructions to enter the rental. So we like to shoot people links because we don't want large blocks of text. We want to try to avoid large blocks of text as much as possible. So when they click on this link, it kind of pulls up on their phone. It's mobile optimized. So and they can go around and tap, you know, these on their phone. So their arrival, we have, you know, their check-in time, their check-in process. In the gaining access section, it says, hey, there's a lockbox located on the west side of the building. We can actually upload pictures in here, but it's been so straightforward in this property we haven't had to. We have the lockbox code, and there's an elevator in this building. So for directions, we have in maps, we have little arrows, and then parking and what the building looks like. So that's automated. We have weather. We have our house manual, how to use the smart lock. It pulls up a YouTube video. There we go. How to use the smart lock that we use. Roku TV.
And again,
Roku remote.
you did not develop this. You're borrowing this. You're using this.
So yes, we've developed the software, but it's easy to just add things that you need and want. So
Right.
where to take out the trash, things like that. So and our virtual team knows all this stuff, and oftentimes we'll refer the guest back to the link. But as much as possible, if we can make it so easy that the guest finds out and not ask us, that means less work for us. So we definitely want to go for that.
We have lots of questions coming in. They're really good questions. As you go through this, you might make sure you leave enough time to get to those.
Oh God, we're going to run out. I'm just,
we'll go.
Yeah.
If we'll go a couple minutes over today, because this is so impactful. You're sharing so many golden nuggets, but
Okay.
there are some incredible
So,
questions ahead of you.
I'm going to have to move on, but that's our app. There's a lot of stuff in there, like even rebooking the unit there. Critical link, address, directions, and fact. Please click on the link here. Door code, how to operate the smart lock. So these are in our templates, and we're just giving them links. They go right to photos and pictures because we can't put photos and pictures in the thread. So here's the door code. So like, and we send this message twice. So this message is the same message. This is the day of check-in at noon and at 4. This is scripted. It sends out twice. Their critical link, how to get to the unit. Important message. There's a lockbox. See the link above for the code.
Okay.
Here's the door code. Here's how do you operate the smart lock. Here's the Wi-Fi password or the Wi-Fi network. Do you have any? If you have any questions, please call this number.
Yeah, so basically all these things are just templates that automatically send them the information they need at that time. So that's something that's automated as well. I don't think we should go into any more detail on that for
Yeah.
time.
And then from there on, like the customer service, it's automated by our virtual team, which they're impersonating our
Yep.
ops officer. His name is Jonathan, but their names are Mackie, Vince, and Anna. Those are
Yep.
our 3 virtual assistants in the Philippines.
So I can, while you're going through the list of questions, I can answer one of the questions I've seen at least twice
right, go
already,
for
which
it.
is how do
Yeah.
we talk to the property management?
Made up. Saw fake smoking mirrors.
How do we talk to the property management or owners about leasing their units as a short-term rental? Because we definitely want to be upfront about that. The biggest struggle we have with that is overcoming the stigma that other people have given us by being bad at it. They've taken leases and then they started doing short-term rentals without asking permission. It happens all the time because it's very easy to do. And they get caught later and then they get in trouble. And then, so we're always having to fight that and tell people, look, we don't do that. That's why we're having this conversation now. The way you overcome that is by listing out the benefits for them. And we have a whole kind of presentation sheet that lists out all those benefits. But we have a list of 8 benefits, but the 2 biggest ones are, if any of you are a landlord, you know that the 2 biggest issues with rentals, just regular rentals, is vacancy and maintenance. Those are going to be your 2 biggest costs. And Owl Stays, short-term rental companies eliminate those 2 costs. They eliminate vacancy because we sign 3 to 5 year leases. So you don't have vacancy for 3 to 5 years, which is huge. And we eliminate maintenance because we only have from a checkout at 11 to check in at 4 or 5 o'clock to fix issues like a hole in the wall or some light bulbs are out. So we don't even ask the property management company or the owner to come fix those things. We fix them. Our manager goes and fixes those in that time frame, and we don't back charge them. We just fix it. We cover maintenance things up to a certain cost. So there's other reasons too, but those are 2 huge things that you can offer a landlord that a regular tenant's not going to give them. A regular tenant's not going to sign a lease that long. And a regular tenant is not going to fix things. They're always going to ask them to be fixed.
Okay.
Plus the unit
Yeah,
gets cleaned 2 or 3 times a week. So by the time we're done, whenever we are done, 10 years in the future, they're going to have a cleaner unit than when they gave it to us. It's going to be in better shape because our units have to be perfect. Our customers are very picky.
Yeah.
And we'll oftentimes our maintenance costs are as low as $25 a month. That's like the average across all of our units. It's because we'll oftentimes bill the damages back to the guest. And our virtual assistants have been so good at this. They actually make us more money from the damage resolutions than it costs to pay them. Like last month, we
That's
collected
awesome.
$2,600 from resolutions from guests or Airbnb. For instance, Airbnb sent us $500 for this one here.
Because the guest didn't pay.
Yeah, because the guest didn't pay. And our monthly cost for 3 full-time virtual assistants out of the Philippines is $1,500 a month.
That's amazing. So have you, I know you referred to the classes earlier, and so we have a lot of people on for the first time or that are not a part of our community yet. As we are a NASA community investors, we are bonded together through an education platform where we learn together, we work together, we do deals together, we collaborate. In the short-term rentals that you were talking about, Alex, were the scripts that are in there, were they helpful for you? Like in the beginning?
Absolutely.
In the beginning?
Guys, we are a product of the product. We are experts now in our field. In Kansas City, we are sought for our expertise. Where do we get our expertise? We got it from the classes, pure and simple. Like literally, we are considered as one of the top 3 short-term rental people in Kansas City. Like the classes will make you the best. They'll make you the best out there. You're not average. Like
Right.
People will seek you out for your knowledge and expertise. So yes,
is there
absolutely.
is there a platform or a system? Great question here, Natalie. Is there a platform or a system you use to determine location of the units that will be profitable? Do you just know your
yes.
market and know where you want to be, or is there a platform or system you put to place?
Yes. So we use our own data now, but in the beginning we used a product called AirDNA. You just got to understand that AirDNA is not 100% accurate. It's like Zillow, but it's the best you got. So as soon as you start getting your first units, you're going to track that information very closely down to the penny. and then you can use actual data opposed to somewhat theoretical data. So,
How
Right.
about funding? This is always the question, no matter what strategy. How much money do you have to get started in short-term rentals?
so
And
yeah, I saw that from Dan as well.
did you guys start with your own money, or did you leverage the relationships in the community?
I did not use any of my own money, and I don't.
Did
plan
you have you leveraged the relationships in the community for that?
Absolutely. We were able, largely through my people knowing how hard I work. I was able to get a private partner who gave us $100,000. But I will tell you right now, you do not need $100,000 to start. We used our relationships to get like a jump start, if that makes sense, and that we used that $100,000 to pick up seven units. Right off the gate.
All you need to
So-
get started, like I said, I did my entire house for $7,500, and I put
Like,
that all. What I did was I had the money, but what I did instead was I called my credit card company and I said, "Can I get a 0% promo for 12 months?" And they said yes, and then I used that card.
Sweet.
So
Yes.
it's all on a 0% card that I'll pay off sometime next year, probably.
Yeah, this
Awesome.
strategy is not
That's
a
it.
high dollar strategy. It's not. Like any
That's
of us
awesome.
can afford it.
Julie's got a great question. My friend Julie, she's part of our community. Is there a particular software system you use to automate your systems? I think you mentioned it earlier, but Alex, you talk a little fast. So for guys like me, is there a particular system that you use to automate your systems?
Yes. So we use Hostfully for our property management software that handles a lot of it. Hostfully is like a great connector to other pieces of software.
Right.
It also handles a lot of our messaging. We use Wheelhouse for our pricing. We use a lot of, it's not just Airbnb, but we're connecting to other online travel platforms. We use WordPress for our website. We have Turnover B&B for our cleaning software and coordination. We use Google Business for our phones, our emails, and our chat. It's not just one thing. That's the thing. This is not a real estate strategy. This is a business that leverages real estate in order to create value. That's what this is. So you're not going to have a one and all solution.
Alex, I do want to throw in right there. This is a great place to insert this, guys. Alex is mentioning a lot of really great and giving us great information today. He's giving us lots of different websites and companies' names. But at the end of the day, guys, he's not telling you to go use all this. You have to use your own due diligence. You got to go check it out for yourself. You got to get, a partnership, or not partnership. You got to build a relationship with an attorney and a realtor and all the above. So these are just recommendations. So you guys have to do your due diligence. I'm familiar with about 3/4 of what you said. But again, we just want to make sure everybody realizes just because one short-term rental business is using certain platforms doesn't mean you have to use them. You need to check it out. Now, is Alex in Austin proven? Absolutely. Did he just tell us he's probably one of the top 3 successful established short-term rental companies in the Kansas City market? Absolutely. I think I heard some pretty big numbers already. There's a lot of people that jumped on late. Just roughly, Alex, because we are getting close. We'll go a few minutes over. But what are you projecting? We're already in October. What are you projecting your gross, and then what you think approximately what your net income will be for 2020? Because you said that earlier.
I'll pull that up in my QuickBooks. But I anticipate that we should end the year in the 150 to 175K net range. But you also have to keep in mind, we're very aggressive with our principal pay down, and we've also doubled our portfolio this year. So
a lot of that. So what Alex is saying is a lot of the 175K profit will be going towards principal pay down, towards loans to partners, those kind of things.
But that's your strategy. That's your strategy, though, Austin, right? You guys are very aggressive. You're going after this thing. It's like using velocity banking with your short-term rental business and you're paying things off quickly. But that is your strategy, and that's not by accident. You guys are going after it, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So
And then-
let's take a look at September here real quick. So September, we only made $4,800. It wasn't a lot at all.
Well,
What we
no,
took
not,
in,
not exactly. That's wrong. There's a $12,000 build out there. That was this
well,
is
I was
confusing.
gonna say that. I said that's largely because we've added units.
Yes.
So-
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, this was our profit, but we've added units in this month. But our gross that we're taking in is 56,000. You can do some damage with 56
Yes.
a month.
Yep.
Let's go a month before to actually let's go 2 months before. July was our best month ever. Gross wise. In the month of July, and we did not have 23 units. I think we had 17 online at this time. Does that sound right? It was 17. Yeah, 17. So at 17 units, we grossed $72,000 and we made 25.
That's a better
Um,
example. Yep.
In August, we grossed 64 and we made 30. So,
So
some of it is
this
cost
is
control and some of it's just additions, right?
Yeah. So just to share with everybody online, so you guys have been doing this platform or this business, this strategy, how many years now? 2 or 2.5?
2 years.
2 years. So these numbers you're seeing, guys, no one's telling anybody here that you're going to do that next week or next month or even next year. This is potential. This is what you can do with hard work, taking the education, learning the right way to do it, building relationships in the community. I mean, this is just a snapshot. I mean, Alex, I'm getting little tingles down my back right now, like imagining where you guys are going to be a year from now, 2 years from now.
Oh, we are still very much pedal to the metal. We haven't taken any money out of the company yet. Like we haven't taken anything out of the company yet. So we're taking all of our profit and we're paying off our corporate debt and we're building. So we want to get to 150 units in the shortest time frame possible. So
that is amazing. That is amazing. Well, let's look at a couple more questions here before we wrap up. We'll go just a few minutes over, but we do want to respect everybody's time today. At one time, I saw we had 118 people on, Alex. Obviously, I would love to have you in Austin back again. We can't wait a year like we did this last time. I'd love to have you guys back on. Maybe if you guys are good, like the first quarter of 2022, we'd love to have you back. And but can we answer a couple more questions?
yes.
You want to look at those?
I'm looking at Sanchez right now. He asked a really good question. If your short-term rentals aren't as close, how do you clean or check the property for damages after someone leaves? So in the beginning of the year, we started to incorporate something that we call the manager model. So before we were basically performing a function of managing the units. We decided to outsource that. So before we had like central laundry, like after we cleaned the unit, all the laundry came to our this room behind me. We used to have like 3 washers and 3 dryers. And our idea was to hire someone to just do that here for us. We decided to do away with all that. It wasn't scalable to be buying a laundromat every 15 units. It's very expensive. So we incorporated this model, what we're calling a manager model, where we find a unit, we find a manager, and then we load that manager up to 5 units. So we find the unit, find the manager, load them up to 5. Find the unit, find a manager, load them up to 5. Find the unit, find a manager, load them up to 5. Now we don't have to buy any washers, dryers, equipment. We just give them the linens and we hold them accountable for it. They can use their own washer or dryer if they want. So we've saved so much money there. And now what else has happened? Well, we don't physically have to be there anymore. The manager can be. So we can expand anywhere in the United States now. We just need to find the unit, find the manager, load them up to 5. And it's that simple. So, you want to have very simple operational processes. So that's a big component of our backend operations. You tie that into a virtual customer service team and then you got it. So
yeah, here's a great question from Raghu, because, just like anything in life, guys, you got to look at the pros, the cons, the upsides, the downsides. Ragu's asking, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. What are the downsides of the model? The risks? Question mark, question mark.
So if you recall, what I said, like lease arbitrage does not work if the rents continue to increase to the extent where hospitality, there is no benefit. So for instance, we're in a black swan event right now where, all this property appreciation, it's just been absolutely crazy. Well, after property appreciation follows the rents, there's rent appreciation. If there ever comes a point where there's no margin, because we need margins to work the lease arbitrage business. If there's no margins, then lease arbitrage is dead. It does not work. So we're actually starting to, Anton, I'm going to answer your question simultaneously. We're starting to buy units now because we don't get the benefits of appreciation. We don't get the benefits of depreciation and tax write-offs and things like that, or principal pay down. We just get cash flow. So right now, I will tell you that the hospitality rates have also increased this year astronomically. But think about what you're doing when you're signing a lease. And we sign leases for 5 years to get discounts. So we're good on all of our leases pre-COVID. But the leases we're getting now, they're high. They're expensive leases. When you sign a lease, you have to pay rent, whether or not you are able to bring in the income or not. That rent is a guarantee. Like you are signing a guarantee to pay that for a period of time. Is there a guarantee in hospitality rates? No, there is not. There is zero guarantee. It is variable. It is completely based on supply and demand. And there is something called a traveler's fatigue. So what does that mean? So 2021 had this explosion year in travel. Some people think that it's largely because they couldn't travel in 2020. Well, in 2022, is there going to be a thing called traveler's fatigue where people are just tired of traveling? Nobody knows. So it is entirely possible with the rents increasing that next year, the hospitality rates the volume of travelers will decline, and now we'll be left with oversupply. There's definitely a chance where people who are signing leases today for too much, or they're going to lose out big next year or a year after potentially. So there's a lot of risk in that model.
To your point, there is risk there in the model, but isn't there risk in any business?
Yes, absolutely. There's risk in any business.
Can I ask this? Is there risk being a W-2 employee?
Absolutely.
Yeah, guys. I mean, think about it. I mean, sometimes we think there's job security and all. I don't want to say job security is out the window, but my gosh, you guys have seen the writing on the wall for the last several years. And so there are risks with everything. You just got to be smart about it. This business, and I know Alex and I know Austin, I know them pretty good. I've known them for a while. They're definitely numbers guys. They're both huge numbers guys. So we always say, what do we say, Alex? This business is about the numbers. It's got to be about the numbers. And especially in short-term rental business, guys, it's about the numbers. But, we're getting wrapped up here. We will have you back out if you guys are willing to come out and share an hour and a half of your time after the first of the year. We'll have you back out. But, here's what's really key. You said something about nobody has a crystal ball. Okay. That's true with everything. And I know everybody on here, if you think about it, you'll agree. You don't know what your company that you work for today is going to look like next year. Okay. You don't know if there's going to be downsizing. None of us do next year. We don't know for sure, to Alex's point, if it's going to be huge in travel next year compared to 2021. I will tell you this. My wife and I, for the last couple months, have been booking our 2022 vacations. It's not been that easy to book them, Alex. So much stuff is booked up. We planned a family vacation to Hawaii. It took us 3 weeks to find the place at affordable price. Everything was booked. We booked a vacation to Florida next year. We booked a vacation to Montana next year.
It's much more likely that the market is going to continue to grow than it is to.
I think so too, but we don't have a crystal ball. So
exactly.
Great.
And the point I want to make is that the short-term renting is an exit strategy. It's not an acquisition strategy. Lease arbitrage is an acquisition strategy. Just because lease arbitrage doesn't work doesn't mean subject to investing doesn't work, doesn't mean any type of seller financing doesn't work. There are ways to take ownership of property where you have a lot more control on the outcome, especially in terms of short-term renting, that are completely viable. And Anton asked me, are we starting to buy now? Absolutely, we're starting to buy now.
So I want to say, before we end this, I want to give a real thing you can avoid risk wise. That's probably one of the bigger real risks, and that is legislation change or like HOA change. We just had this happen to someone who wanted the short-term rental lease a place. They bought it and then they found out they couldn't. So check your HOA, check your county, check your city ordinances, know what they are before you start any of this, because that's your biggest risk, is they tell you you can't do it. There's nothing you can do. And
guys,
that
if
can
it's a
change.
condo,
So make
it's a
sure
red
you
flag.
look that up before you start. Make sure you're good there. And then also, what we actually put in our leases with an addendum that says, if legislation changes, we're allowed to cancel our lease. And when they need to sign that, otherwise we're at a huge risk. So that's
that's a
probably the
huge,
biggest
that's
risk
a
we have. that
huge
you need to
golden
watch
nugget
for.
right there. Austin, that is a huge golden nugget. Adding an addendum to your lease,
Yep.
basically stating that if legislation or the local codes or city codes change that no longer allow you to use short-term rentals or corporate releasing or whatever you want to refer it to, you can get out of your lease. That's amazing. Have you had very many people push back on that? Very many landlords or property managers?
We've had a couple push back on it, and what we negotiate that is, we'll say, well, we will still pay like some kind of exit fee or something. Like we're not gonna make them take all the risk. But for some of our better relationships who see the value we bring, they're willing to share that risk with us.
And there was one last question, please, Scott, if you don't mind.
Yep, this is it. This is the last question.
This is it. So the question was, how do you approach larger property management companies, larger property owners? Okay, so you're definitely going to need credibility. You're just going to, otherwise your conversion ratio is less than 1%. It's not good. So at this point, you want to have a couple short-term rentals. You could show them photos. You could show them that you're real. You're not just some guy who's just gonna slap it up on Airbnb. And even if you're going to do that, those are the types of things that you're gonna run into. And it's much easier if you get referred to them. Much easier if you get referred to them. So that's why getting started is step one. So I just want to, I have up on my screen here. See if I can find it in here. There it is. Right here. So this is what Austin was talking about, and then I'll continue with my statement so you guys can read that. So when you do approach them, if you get a referral, which have been all of ours, it's kind of like, I really like warm marketing. So I'll reach out to leasing agents because they have the incentive to fill the unit, and I'll kind of piggyback off of them to get in the good graces of a property management company. So that's what happened to us. And that got us 4 units in downtown KCMO. And then from that relationship, I was marketing on social media, warm marketing, and I host events in Kansas City. So one guy came to our event, and he was a part owner in a building, and he had 2 short-term rentals in the building. He was having his property management manage it, and this property management company hated it. They hated it. They said, we need to convert this back to studios or come up with something else. So that guy remembered me from my meeting, reached out to me on social media and said, hey, can you lease these 2 units? And of course we said, sure, we'll take a look at it. And then we did that deal. And then he had a property management for the building. So we were in at that point. So we started cultivating our relationship with that property management company. They are the real clients, not the guests. The guests are not your clients. They are the property management companies. Guests, if the worst they can do is leave a bad review. If your property management company will dictate whether or not you can expand to 30 units in 2 years or not. All right. If they don't like you, they can get you out in a day. They can end your business. So they are your real clients. You're gonna drop off Amazon gift cards. You're gonna buy them, pizza, hot dogs, whatever. You're gonna invite them to your company banquet every year. Yeah, they are your real clients, and you want them looking out there for new units for you every single day.
Absolutely.
So
Alex, Austin, this has been an incredible property tour. I'd love to have you out next quarter. This has been fantastic. I have learned so much from you guys. I'm so proud of both of you and what you've accomplished. And I know the ceiling is just unlimited now for you guys. It always has been, but you guys are just destroying it. This is awesome. I do want to tell everybody we'll be back next Saturday. We will be featuring one of our community investors in Tennessee. And I believe we are going to actually this particular transaction is around probate. So this will be a real cool one. We haven't had a probate one in a long time. Same time, same link. We'd love to have you back. Austin, Alex, you guys are the best. I hope to see you on my next trip back to Topeka. And everybody have a beautiful weekend. And guys, have a great one. Take care now.
see you guys.
Thanks, Scott.